New faces, welcome, welcome. The replay to yesterday's session was emailed out, as well as the updated travel coach workshop, our workbook. Which, if you have our beginner's guide, well, it's our beginner's guide that's updated. But if you had the one when you first joined our mailing list, I would definitely recommend also downloading the updated one. I designed it to align with a lot of the questions that I'm asking and having you guys think about throughout the 6-day workshop. So that is also found in the email that was sent out as well. Okay. All right, guys, we'll keep on dropping in the chats where you guys are tuning in from. I'm so glad that you like the replay, Deborah. Yes, Pam. Perfect. So I'm going to get started here. I want to keep a lot of room for helping you guys formulate your core message. So that is what we're going to be diving into today. So day 2 is all about what is a core message and why do you need one? How do you use one? And how do you even create one? How do you formulate one? There we go. One second. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Deborah's in Sicily. KD is in Toronto. Carrie's in Austin. Hi, Carrie again. Bariloche. I loved Bariloche, Argentina. Miss Kayla. It's so,
Oh
so
yeah, sorry. I have my teacher name on, Miss Kayla.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, it's good.
It's so beautiful there.
It is.
Uh, I do a lot of art, like a lot of painting. And so when I traveled, I always gravitated towards places where you're like the mountains reflect on the water, and that's exactly the type of place. It's so serene.
Yeah, I love it here.
Hi, everyone. All righty. Jeanette is in Maryland. All right, let's get started here. First off, what is even a core message? Every business has a core message. So a core message, just come in, um, is essentially the central idea or key statement that defines a company, a brand, or what a business stands for. It communicates the value, the purpose, and the unique impact that of what you make on others. So, what is it that you do in your business, and how do you resonate with your ideal clients, your target audience? So, essentially, it captures the who, the what, and the why of a business. The who, the what, the why of the business. And I'm going to give an example here shortly so that you can kind of see the structure of that. It should be clear and compelling. So we'll go through some of the things that you see here on this slide is that it clearly expresses the problem that you solve. It speaks directly to your ideal client, highlights what makes you different, and it evokes some sort of emotion or connection, which can be pretty simple because travel is emotional and we connect through um, the stories that we tell, the impact that travel makes on us. You can think of your core message as your brand's guiding principle. It's the message that you want people to remember and to associate with you. So, in yesterday's session, I said, what is it that you believe so deeply in about travel and who needs to hear that? So, that's essentially your core message, but with structure. Um, all right. And then why do you need one? Clarity and consistency. So that is something that I also talked about yesterday is super important. If your ideal client, your core message, your major problem you're solving, your why for your business, and even your offers are all disaligned, that just causes confusion in your business for you and for your ideal clients. So that means you're probably not going to be attracting your ideal clients or audience because there's a lack of consistency in there. They can't see themselves throughout your whole brand. So you have to be crystal clear on what your core message is. And in order to do that, you have to know who is your ideal client, why should they care about travel? What are the benefits? So why? What are the benefits? What are they going to get out of this? How could they feel? How could their life look like? What do they want? And understand their pain points. right? So what's that major problem? What are those main pain points that your ideal client is thinking, is feeling, is desiring, is wanting, is going through? So again, you'll see an example of that coming up here. Being clear and consistent and ensures that your brand messages remains clear and cohesive and recognizable across all the platforms. So again, this is just branding 101, being consistent across the board. And you have to understand, what do you want to be known for? What do you want to be the expert in? And who is that for? Differentiation. So it's going to set you apart. Your core message is different from the next person's core message. A strong core message sets your company apart from competitors, from other travel coaches, by highlighting what makes your brand unique. So who you serve, why, and what problems you're solving for them, and what's that journey transformation you're helping them obtain. That's all unique to you. Even if you have the same quote unquote niche as someone else, your core message is still different because it's all based on your beliefs. What is it that you believe in about travel? What do you care about when it comes to travel? These are things I had you reflect on in yesterday's session. I want to make sure I hit record. I did. That I had you think about in yesterday's session is that what are other areas that you might be interested in or that you care about? You know, is it that the lack of vacations that people take and the impact that makes in the corporate world? Is it that, moms don't take enough care of themselves and put everyone first? So what is it that you care about? It could be an area, a focus, a niche, an industry, a sector of an industry, whatever it might be. Connection with your audience, that is key. Again, people say, well, how do I get clients? How do I get clients? Well, you have to be able to speak directly to your ideal clients. You have to attract them. And you do that through your messaging. And your core message is a key part of that. Okay. Everyone who's joining, drop in the chat where you guys are tuning in from. Your core message also is when you connect with your ideal clients, that's what's going to build trust and emotional engagement. They're going to see themselves in your messaging. It should evoke some sort of emotion within them, excited about what could be, a connection to you. They should scroll upon anything from on your platforms, whether it's on your website, social media, anywhere they can come across, learn, or see about you and what it is that you're doing. And they should self-identify. They should be like, yes, that's me. Yes, I feel that way. And your core message is at the foundation of that. So the foundation of your marketing, if you're going to wonder, how do I show up? How do I get visible? How do I market myself? Just like any business markets themselves. Well, you have to know what your core message is first. Okay. Going on to guidance for content and marketing, it acts as a reference point for all messaging, making it easier to create content that aligns with your brand's purpose, like I just mentioned there. And then going into stronger sales and conversion. A clear and compelling message makes it easier for potential clients to understand your offer and why it's valuable, increasing the likelihood of them taking action. So they understand that you are the brand for them, the business for them, that you get them, you know their pain points, you understand them, and that you have an outcome that they can possibly obtain. Chat here. Everyone. Joanna, oh, you're in Oman. Small country. Not. So how do you craft a core message? Again, this is a workshop. So after I show you the structure here, you guys feel free to drop in the chat you can kind of compartmentalize them. So your ideal client, a couple major pain points, and the outcome or the why for travel. And then I can help you formulate a core message there, or at least give you a rough draft of it, obviously. So you can see the different colors I have here. So here's an example. Travel is a powerful tool for women who are empty nesters to reconnect with themselves, gain clarity on their next steps in life, and gain a new sense of identity by having a change of environment, spending time in nature to self-reflect, and making new connections. I just pulled this one out of thin air. It's no one in particular, so you could be a bit more specific if you serve women of a certain age or whatever it might be. So travel's in green because it's travel that we're talking about here. Travel is what you want to convince them of or to do, that this could possibly be beneficial to you, a solution for you, your journey of transformation. And then in orange, we have women who are empty nesters. So this is your who, your ideal client. And being specific, not just women, you have to say who exactly it is. And then we see in blue, reconnect with themselves. So these are their pain points. So when I say pain points, it's not, even though it sounds so negative, a pain point really just means all the things you know about your ideal client. So again, their feelings, what's going through their mind, what do they say to themselves? What are they thinking to themselves? What do they desire? What do they want? How is their every day? Both good and bad things. So empty nesters might want to feel like themselves again. They've been taking care of their children for so long, their household, but now that their children are gone, who are they? Who am I? What's my purpose in life now? Because that was my purpose. So that's something that could be going on through their mind. Gain clarity on their next steps in life now. So now that my kids are gone out of the house, what do I do with myself? You know, the world's my oyster. Like, I can do anything, but I don't know what to do now. Travel could possibly give them that clarity, give them a sense of inspiration, ideas, creativity, and then gaining a new sense of identity. So again, like, who am I? Who can I become? Who am I in this next chapter of my life? So those are some of their pain points. So the things that they're wondering, they want, they desire, they need, they hope for. And then in the last part, in pink, we have by having a change of environment, spending time in nature to self-reflect and making new connections. So these are just three of the how and the why for travel. What could travel do for them? So again, if you're just telling someone you should think about travel, you should go on a trip, travel's so impactful, it's so transformative, it's so meaningful for your ideal client, for this example here, women who are empty nesters, why? They may not even thought about going on a trip. Maybe the only trip they ever taken were, all-inclusive family trips that cost them an arm and a leg and were hectic. Maybe they're not thinking about travel as a way to figure out their next steps in life and find their identity. So how? So by you as a travel expert, through research and your own personal anecdotal information and opinions and experiences, you could say a changing up of the environment could give you that time, that ability to now reflect on, hi everyone joining. Changing up in the environment, changing your routine. We know that this can give us, an aha moment, maybe new perspectives, maybe spending time in nature. We understand, and through research, the benefits of blue and green spaces, of spending time in nature, breathing in fresh air, whether it's by the beach, whether it's in the forest. There's forest bathing. There's, the blue spaces. There's, hikes, physical activity. And making new connections. So human connection, immersing into the local culture, meeting other travelers, having deeper conversations with the person that you're traveling next to on the bus or on the plane. All of these provide opportunity for self-reflection, sense of identity, new ideas for the next steps in life. Hope this all makes sense. So again, your ideal client, their major pain points, and the why for travel. And embody that into a statement. Where I see some people struggle is that they want to write a long paragraph or two. But your core message, you should be able to articulate who do you serve and why off the top of your head without having to read anything that you're writing down or going back into your notes. Obviously, in the beginning, yes, but over time, if you have a business and you have ideal clients, you should be able to articulate who you're serving and why. Again, going back to your beliefs in travel. What is it that you believe in about travel and who needs to hear that? All right. So, no worries. Let's start formulating some core messages here. So if you guys want to drop in the chat, even if it's not exactly who your ideal client is, or you're thinking about this, at least having the structure can help you kind of plug and play when you do have the exact ideal client, the exact pain points that you want to use. Okay. So someone dropped it here. Okay, perfect. Ideal client are people who want to travel with their pets. Pain point, just one of many, of course. There's always a lot of pain points, and I see a lot of people struggle with that. They're like, well, what pain points do I talk about? Well, what are the major pain points that they have? Like, really, what is, if you can rank them, what are those top three pain points? Pain point number one is people who want to experience travel but not be left with the guilt of leaving their pet behind. So they do want to travel with their pet.
Yes. So I guess one pain point is that people might feel that they want to travel, but um they don't know. I guess a better way to put it would be that they don't have the tools and resources and maybe the confidence to travel with their pet.
Okay, so what I hear is a lack of information, resources. So they don't really know like what are the rules for traveling with your pet? How do
Mm-hmm.
I find hotels that allow me to have pets? Like where do I put
Yeah.
my pet? That type of information.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then the lack of confidence. What confidence regarding what? Finding the
Um,
resources themselves or
yeah, even like they don't know what to do if their pet is anxious about it, or what to do like en route of their travel in case, an accident happens, well, like a bathroom accident, that kind of thing. So
okay,
just being well prepared for it.
okay. And then it's absolutely possible and even fun and memorable as long as you plan and prepare in the right ways. All right, so what is it that you actually do for them? So you're putting their mind at ease.
Yeah, inspiring them, trying to show them through my own experiences that it is possible and even fun and enjoyable and like better for your pet if you bring them with you on your travels rather than leaving them in a cattery or a place like a pet hotel where they're not going to have you with them, which is ultimately like, yeah, my goal is to people not having to leave their pet behind. My focus is more on small pets and mostly cats, but um yeah, I mean, haven't ironed out all the details.
Okay. Um, all right, so they have guilt. They need, I'm trying to figure out what else, other than inspiration and empowerment, what else are you doing to actually help them? So are you collecting the resources yourself? Are you working
Yeah,
on mindset?
collecting.
Are you working
mm,
on helping them not, like what else are they feeling that you're helping them with?
More about maybe possible places they can go, and like you were saying, places they can stay, like what options they have. I guess mine's more focused on like international travel, especially like how to deal with the situation whenever they're going on flights and all the documents included with that, and preparing them like the vaccinations that are required. Um, and
1 second. That's good.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So just a rough draft. Again, I would have you go back and really think about what am I actually giving, like what are their takeaways from me? So if it's working on the mindset, boosting that confidence, maybe it's providing them the resources, maybe a toolkit for them to go and find the resources or point them in the right direction, and then guiding them along the way. Maybe that is, if they have hiccups or need help or support system, something like that. So I'm just assuming I'm going to make up what I think that you can help them with. So here
Yeah.
is what I have for your core message as a rough draft. So it's time to leave the guilt behind and travel with your pet. Create lifelong memories with your pet through travel when you have, and I would play around with this transition word, when you have proper preparation and information, or when you have proper resources, mindset work, guidance, and a support system. So again, um, it's time to leave the guilt behind, travel with your pets, create lifelong memories with them. When you have proper preparation, resources, mindset work, guidance, and a support system. Something along the lines. You want to kind of embody all the things. It told me there that, hey, this is for me. I want to travel with my pet and I have some worries going on, but you said to leave the guilt behind. You're addressing the guilt. Um, the benefits, you can create lifelong memories. You could put something else in there. So how else is it beneficial? So you said it could be beneficial for the pet itself. So I would add something in there. And then list a couple of those, um, the hows. So because you're providing proper preparation, resources, helping with mindset, and you're guiding them through this journey. So at least they understand. So if your ideal client were to come across this message, they'd be like, oh, wow, like I'm struggling with the guilt. I want to travel with my pet. She's telling me the things that she can help me with. That sounds great. Let me look more into what she's doing. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you. Those are some fabulous ideas.
Perfect. All right. Deborah says, travel is a unique and powerful tool for people in transition to get back in touch with themselves and figure out and create their next chapter by giving them a chance of scenery, of spending time in nature, and reigniting their passion and curiosity. Um, that is really good. What only thing I would question or have you expand upon is the people in transition. Clarify that. So if you are serving, if your overall niche is helping people in a life transition, or is it career transition? Is it any sort of transition? So maybe give a couple examples of that, um, or be more specific, like career or life. You can say for people in transition, such as empty nesters, divorcees, or career transitions, whatever it might be. I would be a bit more specific with that. But
What
that
if
is
I
a really
want
good,
to,
huh?
what if I want to help all of those because, for example, yeah, like divorcees or empty nesters, career transition, like actually all of those,
Okay.
I feel like, but so do I just list them all out
No,
or?
no. So what you would do then is how do you kind of package that? Say just life and career transition. So a unique and powerful tool for people in life going through a life or career transition. Um, so let me look at these pain points. In touch with themselves, figure out and create their next chapter. I would
Yeah, I
add
put
maybe another pain point in there that kind of is an umbrella pain point for anyone going through a transition. So I'd look at some stronger pain points in there.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking one of the pain points I didn't mention would be, even just like burnout, because I feel like that's usually, even my own story. It's like I was pretty much sick of the status quo and the rat race and everything. And so, but like, yeah, I'm curious too about, like in my mind, I'm thinking, getting back in touch with themselves. Obviously, I think that one is probably clear just because I think when we go through, whether it's, a marriage or a divorce or
Hmm.
a career that's not fulfilling, we sort of lose touch with ourselves. So,
Yeah.
but then like figuring out and creating their next chapter, because what I really want to tap into is people who they hit this transition point, but now they feel lost and they almost feel like, okay, what now? Like what's next? Or like a common conversation I hear with people nowadays is, sort of joking, but as adults, like, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And,
Yeah.
and just kind of that feeling of like, they're at this point where
I
they're
would say
stuck.
that in there. I like what you just said there is because it's an actual pain point that they have is them saying to themselves or feeling, I'm lost, what's next? So I would
Hmm.
put that in there, helping people going through a career or life transition go from feeling lost to knowing what's next and then blah 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 blah.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
the more you guys understand exactly what your ideal clients say and think, use that information through your marketing. I know it seems better to kind of put fluff around it or reword it. But again, if you're speaking to your ideal clients, speak their language. And that's something I say in the program. Speak their language. What are they actually saying and thinking? And this is what any company out there does is that you want to know exactly what's going on in their head and how are they feeling and how do they perceive that, how do they articulate that and use that information. So I like that because I'm sure that's very true.
Yeah. And just one last curiosity question, like the part reigniting their passion and curiosity. I mean, that's not exactly travel related, although travel brings that out. So, I mean, does that sound okay there, or do I need to make it more travel-y?
uh I wouldn't make it more travel-y. I would make it more what do they actually want in life, what are they actually looking for. That's what you want to say um in your core message. What if you're trying to kind of fit it into what my structure is here when it comes to like those benefits, think of a way. So if you're saying, if you believe that your ideal client going through a transition wants to reignite their passion and sense of curiosity, maybe state how that actually happens through travel. And that's essentially what I was trying to do at the in the pink part of the core message is what exactly is it about travel that you're saying could help them achieve this?
Okay. So I need to think
Sense?
on that a bit more.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks.
All right. So Sharon says midlife professional women burned out, caring for older relatives, disconnected husband, children, and they are all living their lives. So, Sharon, are these two different types of ideal clients, midlife professional women and then empty nesters? Or are you trying to fit them
No,
together?
no, I'm thinking midlife professional women who are empty
Who are
nesters. So
empty nesters?
they're one and the same. But if
Okay.
it strikes both, if it strikes two different audiences, they don't have to be empty nesters. And the reason that I'm targeting midlife professional women is because they are going to have the resources to buy luxury holidays, which is my target market. So I don't want to be targeting the masses and targeting people that have not got the income. So that's that's going to be my starting level, my starting platform, basically, at midlife professionals, executives, people who have got the higher level income in that baby
Okay.
boomer sort of generation with that demographic. They're
Okay.
probably going to be empty nesters or maybe never had any children, but they're going through that tough phase where they think that life is going to get easier and it's actually getting harder for them, and they're just completely losing touch with their inner compass, basically.
Okay. And then what is it that they want?
I want to they've lost. I'm going from my own experience here, and that doesn't all apply to me, but from my own experience, I got to a stage where I didn't know who I was any longer. I wanted to find who I was. I wanted to, and I had to go really deep within and do a lot of soul searching, a lot of inner work. I am a coach, so I will be doing coaching alongside of this, but I will be bringing the travel element into it because that's been my job for 25 years, travel. But it's for them to reconnect and to identify who they are, what lights their soul up, what is it that gives them inspiration to get out of bed every morning, what puts a smile on the face, what fills them with joy, because at the moment they're not filled with joy, they're not having those experiences in life. And I know from my own experiences that travel can ignite that, it can ignite that spark just by going to new environments and seeing different cultures and speaking to different people, and how it just lights you up.
Okay. So before I kind of formulate a draft for your ideal client, what I first would want to say and have you think, and you might choose midlife professional women because you can relate, and that's one thing. But I really would like to have you contemplate if you choosing that demographic, that niche, is best solely because you think that they can afford it more than anyone else can. And I've heard that before from others in coaching who are like, who think that I'm serving these type of people because I'm assuming they have the money. I've always been told, don't put yourself into someone else's wallet. You never know what people will spend money on. And that's something I've also learned in business. You'd be really surprised who wants to work with you and buy from you and spend money on something. So with that said, I would focusing on not just you, and this is in general, focusing on the pain points are so important because that is what could attract your ideal client versus kind of segregating them into an income, like being like, unless you
Yeah, I
have this
get you.
income, does that make sense? Then
Focus on the pain points and don't give them a title.
yes,
Yeah, I'm
yes.
with you.
So unless
Yeah,
you want
and
to,
you're right there. I did do that. It was 100%. It was funny actually because I hadn't even thought about that, and I work with a coach mentor for myself, and I've literally had two separate businesses for the past 2 years, and it's just too much. I can't manage two separate businesses. Neither one is being successful because I'm putting too much energy into each one. So what I want to do is pull them together. And when I have the conversation, and I signed up to travel coaching 18 months ago, and I've just not done anything with it. And when I spoke to her last week, she started. It was her actually and it's because she's a coach. She has said to me, so where are these women? And what demographic are they in? What's their income level? And I hadn't even thought about it like that until she asked me those questions. So that's when I sort of had to give them a label. They had to be a professional woman. There had to be somebody that had that, But you are quite right, and I do appreciate that we don't know what people have got. They could be millionaires. They don't necessarily need to be a professional woman. So yeah, I will take the title off. I will target the pain points specifically.
Yeah,
not put them into a category.
Yeah.
But I do think the empty nest syndrome
Yes.
could potentially be a pain point. Well, it
Right.
is a pain point.
So therefore, so you could serve professional women, but they can also be women who are not professional because they
Yes.
share common pain points. So if they're experiencing burnout could be different that could be a professional world, that could be as a working mom, that could be other reasons. There's so many reasons why we get burnt out. If caring for others, so providing for others. So if you're a professional woman, that means because you are running a freaking business. There's a lot going on. You're taking care of a lot of things. If you're a mom, if you're a woman in, taking care of your elderly parents, like there's that. That's what I mean by finding these umbrellas, categories that could mean something different to everyone. And then feeling disconnected from their families, their partners, their children. Again, that could be because they're working too much. That could be because they're empty nesters, because they're burnt out in the household. So again, I hear burnout, being of service to others, and lacking self-care, not putting self first. And therefore life's getting a lot harder, and they're feeling lost or they have lost their touch with their inner compass, so their inner self of who they are. So something along the lines of, I didn't formulate that and write it all down here, but based off of these kind of notes that I have. So say something along the lines of travel is an effective tool for women who are experiencing burnout, lacking self-care, and being constantly being in service of others, who have lost touch with their inner compass of who they are and feel like life's only getting harder. Through travel, they can have a sense of identity, soul search, feel fulfilled with joy, however you want to word that, and reignite their spark for life again through changing environments, meeting new people, immersing into local culture, and spending time in nature. So it was a bit of a run-on sentence. Your core message can be a sentence or two. But within that, you're identifying a woman who's experiencing burnout, lack of self-care, being of service to others. That could be a variety of type of people. Busy professionals can identify with that. Busy moms, empty nesters, divorcees, whatever it might be. How have they been feeling? They've lost touch with their inner selves, feel like life's just getting more complicated. And through travel, they can gain a new sense of identity. They can do some soul searching. They can feel a sense of joy again, and they can reignite their spark for life, because travel allows us to change environments, immerse into new cultures, meet new people, and spend time in nature. Again, figure out what is it about travel at the end. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's brilliant. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Joanna, you say.
Hey, Sahara.
Huh?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi. Okay. Yeah. So it's easier if you just want to kind of, from your words, tell me.
Yeah, it's just interesting listening to Sharon there, because I guess it's in the same sort of demographic that we're both kind of looking to help. So there was a lot there that I took from that conversation. I mean, you know where I'm coming from as well, and I'm not quite sure with my business model where it's taking me. I'm not quite sure where I'm going with it. So I think I might have a slightly different idea of how I want to do it. And I'm really early on in doing the certificate as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, any of your thoughts around where I'm at and what you know of me would be really appreciated.
Yeah. So why don't you refresh my memory? So why don't you tell me from point of view? Like what are your thoughts on who do you want to serve and why?
Okay, so I want to serve women in midlife who are at a crossroads. You get to a point, you go through menopause, you're exactly what Sharon was just saying, there's an empty nester. It may be that they're dissatisfied with their professions or their jobs. Maybe that they are divorced or they're single and they're just looking for change and they're really unsure about what's coming next. And the menopause has a big impact on women, and it really does, and it can destroy many people's, not destroy, it really changes the way you see yourself. And there are lots of other factors that are going on in the background, also elderly parents, and kind of where am I sitting with financial security. So there's all these different things that are weighing on a midlife woman's shoulders as she's going through menopause and huge changes. And my argument, for want of a better word, is that this is the perfect opportunity for women to step forward for themselves without guilt and take themselves out of their environment and go and experience life in a different culture, in a different place, even if it's local, just to have time to yourself, with yourself. And kind of prepare yourself for that journey before you go on that journey, and kind of set intentions when you're in that space to really think about what it is that you want to change. And to coach women or to help women really find who they are, because you do get lost. It's a phase where you've been helping and serving so many other people, and you hit midlife and it's like, well, okay, well, where am I in this? What do I want? And now I want change, and what am I going to do about it? And I want to feel good about myself, and I want to feel inspired to do something different that I really, really am passionate about and I enjoy. And so I believe that travel's the key for that.
Well, I think this would be a really interesting, because menopause is a big topic. There's a
Yeah.
lot of just information out there, people talking about it, experts on it, resources for it, because it can be, like you said, a really big problem, and it's really difficult for a lot of women to navigate. And so I think, this is just my opinion and an option, is instead of focusing on women in midlife at a crossroads, focus on women experiencing menopause, because that's already very specific and would attract them, speak to them. And all the things that you're talking about here of being dissatisfied with how their life's going or their jobs, lacking their self-confidence, not feeling like themselves anymore, looking for a change. They don't know what the change is, but they need a change to happen. And your belief is that travel is a really important tool for them to be able to go and do that, really effective tool to do that without guilt. So through your guidance, you can help them leave that guilt behind and finally put themselves first, to gain clarity on their next steps in life, to reconnect with their inner selves, figure out who they are and what do they really want out of life, through spending time in nature and connecting with other people and getting out of their comfort zone, whatever it is that you believe in, that travel can help. Does this make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
I think that would resonate with so many people and be so much more specific than, because there are travel coaches, many travel coaches who focus in women at a crossroads, which is very broad. Crossroads could be anything. But menopause is a completely different type of crossroad with so many other types of pain points. And travel can be really important for them to a vessel. And I'm saying this with excitement because I can see you on podcasts, in articles, writing about the connection between travel and menopause. So after this, I'd encourage you to go do some research and see what is out there. Is there a connection? Are people already talking about travel and menopause? And so, and I can't imagine that no one has said anything about it, but if they have, or if they haven't, amazing. Take the space, be the expert in that, because you believe so deeply in that.
Yeah.
Right. And be
it's
that.
really, Yeah, no, it's really interesting, just an observation, because I've kind of like been posting and like across the socials and that. What I did notice was women didn't always on the socials though, so maybe it's a different space. They didn't want to really engage with the menopause as a discussion in a way because it's not uplifting, maybe. I don't know. It's I guess across social media, people want to find something that's maybe they're looking for something that's a bit more kind of like rose-tinted glasses view of life. I'm not sure. But it's a discussion, and there are lots of discussions going on around it. I hear it everywhere amongst all my friends, about the impact it has on them, and the changes that it brings to them.
Yeah. So I don't
Yeah,
think
okay.
that's necessarily true. I think if you're kind of gauging that off of your own engagement, I mean, that doesn't embody all of the engagement out there when it comes to conversations around menopause or how people react to that. With social media, I do know that people use it to connect. They're finding connection.
Yeah.
That's why there's so many Facebook groups out there. So maybe it's a Facebook group that you have for using travel to help you through your menopause or find yourself after menopause or something like that. And that is where you drive people to and have those more in-depth conversations. And therefore, I would play around with what it is that you post on your social media. You can have more in-depth. You can, but because it is travel that you're talking about, keep it very travel centric. Take one of the pain points. So you don't have to even outright say that every post is about menopause. You can just talk about the pain points and then have a connection to travel. So lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem. Many women can self-identify with that. And then talk about what is it about travel that can help boost your confidence. And then as you continue to do this throughout your branding, the title of your pages, the consistency of what it is you post, your whole brand will become menopause and travel. I can see that going places, but you have to, I'm not telling you what to do in your business. You have to care enough to do it.
It's a
But I
really
think
good
it's super
one.
interesting.
It's a great one. And that, I guess when I started this journey a few months ago, that was where I started. And the only thing I got concerned about was whether I was kind of drawn down into too much the medical side of menopause and discussions around
you don't need
hepatitis.
to. You don't need to.
Mm.
That's why talking about the pain points and then talking about the benefits of travel, sharing your experience. That's why I talk about, you guys, share your story. If you don't know where to start, and I'm just talking in general to anyone now, if you don't know where to start on your social media and you don't know how to really, what it is to talk about and how to engage and talk to and attract your ideal clients, your story is so powerful. Even if you don't identify directly with your ideal client, what pain points can they connect to you? What have you gone through that they can see themselves in something similar? And how has travel helped you? People are inspired by people in so many different ways. Some of the mentors that I've had over the years have nothing to do with travel or hospitality. They're in the sports industry. They're in the tech industry. Well, it's because it's their story and their values that I resonated with, that inspired me to reach out to them, to work with them as either a coach or a mentor. And so that's the importance of sharing your story and having your brand and your business down pat, the foundation built. And that's what we're working on over the next couple of days in this workshop, is creating that solid foundation for your business. What do you want to be known for? How do you want to make people feel? Okay. And so that is how you show up on your socials and anything, what's on your website, how do you talk about in the media, if you're a guest on a podcast, if you're a guest, if you write an article, if you have a blog, anywhere I just use the word visibility, however it is you get visible in your business, how you have to be consistent across all that. I can see you going on to women's podcasts, menopause podcasts. I'm sure there's tons of them out there. Just look on Spotify, go to put menopause, click podcast, see all of the ones that populate, scroll down. Something we teach you in the program. Scroll down a little bit further. The top ones are always like the hardest to get onto. I don't even pitch to most of those. Scroll down a little bit, mid and bottom of the list. start reaching out and pitching to them. Hey, I'd love to put my spin. This is how travel helped me going through menopause. I noticed no one has talked about travel on your podcast before. Here's some ways that travel helped me. And I think, inspiring, empowering your listeners to go on a trip, and how that can help them, gain a new sense of confidence, and figure out their next steps in life and get clear on things despite going through menopause. So there's so many different things that you can do, but starting with your own story. But I can see this menopause and travel being a pretty cool thing. I'm interested to see, what kind of research out there or articles or anything that exists already.
Yeah, see, I've done a lot of research in kind of like midlife and travel and transformation through like
Yeah,
anthropology,
there's tons of that out there,
sociological.
but I'm
Yeah.
curious about the specifics of, is there
Yeah,
an
I don't
article
know.
out there? So I would go and like do some research on that and really own that space. Even if there is information out there, your story, your perspective, and what you do is different from others. And if that's something you're passionate about and you believe that, hey, I really want to help women, you know,
Yeah.
with all these things through travel because it's something I can relate to, then make that your brand.
Yeah. It's only become a really public conversation, I think, in the last 5 years. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
it's
think
only
that
going to become more. It's only
yeah,
going to
absolutely.
become more acceptable, more open. I mean, all of these different topics that we talk about, whether it's sexuality or whatever it might be, is becoming more and more. So be ahead of the curve, and be a part of that. And again, become that go-to expert on it.
I love that. Thank you. That's really given me food for thought. Wonderful. Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Mirka says, travel is a powerful way for those navigating life transitions or seeking a fresh start to find clarity, reconnect with themselves, and discover new perspectives through cultural immersion, mindful experiences, and storytelling. I like that. Travel is a powerful way for those life transitions. Yeah, I think that's a good start. I think then it just depends on who exactly it is, and how you use that core message. But I think if you feel like that really embodies all of it, because you're new to the program, so I don't know exactly who exactly and what type of life transitions or who exactly is looking for a fresh start, but I think that really embodies them. Bruce says, as people who have had a lifetime of travel slow down with age, traveling at the top of your game can empower them to regain the strength and endurance needed to stay fit for travel and be fit for life. For you, Bruce, I would really have had a lifetime of travel, slow down with age. I see where you're going with this. So I would say a couple ways that they could stay fit for travel and be fit for life. Why travel should be something should continue to do and that they can do. Because I know for you, Bruce, you're focusing on people over a certain age feeling like they can no longer travel, they're not capable, they're not physically capable, whatever it might be. But you helping and empowering, inspiring them and guiding them to be strong, keep up their endurance so that they can be fit and therefore continue to travel. I feel like there's a couple just holes in that filling that with exactly who. So maybe putting an age range in there or a really strong pain point about people, your demographic. So maybe it is people who feel like they've aged out of travel or not fit enough to travel anymore or something like that, whether it's mentally or physically. So again, being a bit more specific with that, because people who have had a lifetime of travel, I feel like, I mean, I'm 37. I feel like I've had a lifetime of travel, but I wouldn't be your ideal client. So, but that's a really good start. I like that. Lindy says, I work with busy professionals who are newer to intentional travel and crave something more meaningful than another rushed generic vacation. Busy professionals who are newer to intentional travel and crave something more meaningful. They're overwhelmed by choices, short on time, and unsure how to turn their ideas into a cohesive plan, let alone something that feels personal and special. I help them cut through the noise, clarify what matters most. Okay, for you, Lindy, I would and maybe you already have these answers. Why are the busy professionals craving something more meaningful? Like, what is it that they're lacking?
I think a lot of the times that when people are busy, the trips they take tend to be packaged and not thought about and personal. And so maybe the last couple of trips they've gone on, right? It's been, oh, I want to go to Italy. So the travel agent sells them the basic Rome, Florence, Venice plan, when really they're super, what they're interested in isn't the Colosseum. It maybe isn't the traditional things that you think of. And what they really need is, 6 nights in Piedmont or something along those lines. And so it's really about people who want that experience but don't have the time or the energy to solve it for themselves.
Is it the time or energy to solve it for themselves, or they just don't know how to start or what to do?
I think it's all of that. I think it's all of that, right? Like they might be, um, it's the kids and all the activities that they're in. I anticipate sort of Gen X and elder millennials who maybe still have older kids or maybe recent empty nesters. They recently have the money and the time to kind of do things the way they want to and sort of don't know how to do it.
Okay, and then do you want to only serve busy professionals, or is it just anyone you feel like has a busy life and has been taking those generic trips?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think to some extent, I'm probably not the person to help plan if you're super busy because you've got a brand new baby. I I don't know what it's like to travel with a brand new baby, and I'm not the person to help plan that. So to some extent, I think yes, general busyness, but I think some of those niches I'm not the expert in.
That's okay. So instead, what it sounds like, it's more that you are focusing on or want to, and correct me if I'm wrong, um, cutting out that busy professional part and just going to those who feel like they want more meaningful experiences and throwing those generic vague travel itineraries out the window.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So again, just based off of a couple notes, something along the lines of are you ready to take full control over your own travel experiences? No more with, or throw those generic vague itineraries out the window and start getting personal and emotional with with where you go and what you do. Um, through proper guidance, resources, and support, you can have more meaningful travel experiences that dot dot dot. So what is it that they're looking for? So again, going back to why do they want personal or meaningful experiences? What are they looking to get out of that? Are they looking for more peace of mind? Are they looking for um, fulfillment and joy? Or like, what is it exactly are they looking for? Because and I'm just speaking in general now, it's just to say meaningful experiences. And this is the same thing I talked to you guys yesterday about, like using terms like transformative travel or transformation or even intentional travel or meaningful travel, any of these keywords, you have to kind of break that down for your ideal client. So I think for you, Lindy, that touches on where they are. They feel like they want control over their itinerary. Like they want to take control over, maybe they've always been working with travel agents or someone else who's been doing it all for them and been giving these very generic surface level itineraries. Instead, they're craving something more meaningful out of experience. They know they see it, maybe they're inspired by other stories, they're inspired by social media, whatever it might be, of how impactful travel can be, but and they're yearning for that, but they don't know where to start and how to do that. And they're just used to this old school way. So here's where you step in. So through proper guidance and support and resources and mindset work and whatever it might be, they can now have travel experiences that fill them with joy, create lifelong memories, give them the clarity they're looking for, whatever it is that the outcomes are. Does that make sense?
that makes great sense. And I think joy is a big piece of what I want to do. So I think that's a big outcome that I'm looking for.
Perfect. Perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mara is in Minneapolis. I'm early on business development. Yep, you're new to the program, or you're fairly new, kind of. My vision and ideal client is fairly broad and all-inclusive at the time. World is my oyster vibe. I have a working title as a placeholder, not very glamorous, but gets to the core of the idea at this point. The travel networker. I plan to do podcasts, short video. Okay. Yes, you are on El Camino. So if anyone here, I'm going to do a little shout out here for El Camino. So if anyone is interested in joining, eh, where do I start with this? If you guys know what El Camino de Santiago is, the hike across northern Spain, the TCN is partnered with one of our own members who also runs her own transformational travel company, Sonia Cruz Oro. She's also the director of our Spanish certification program. But she's taking a group of TCN members to El Camino. So there are 2 spots left. If anyone is interested, just send me an email and I can send you all the details. There's through April, the dates are in mid-May. I can send you all of that, but I'll do a post on that too. Anywho, Mara is going. Mara, you're here, right?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, so all you told me is the travel networker. What does that mean?
Well, just as a side note, I just think of creative ideas all day long and everything is taken, which also points me to the fact that maybe I have good ideas, but everyone has the same ideas. But as I want to be in some ways more of I wouldn't say travel writer, but reporter or hub of information, every time I go to these places, I just found 3 this morning during the meeting. I salt that away and say I can include that in a future podcast. Just this morning, I thought of Travel Spark, taken. Travel Alchemy, taken. Sage Travel, my daughter's name is Sage, taken. But I wrote them down as possible podcast ideas. Wait, what was your question?
Okay, so you're having ideas for names. What are you actually trying to do? Who are you trying to serve? What is it? Yeah, what are you trying to do?
I was an arts interviewer. I did an arts podcast for 2 decades on community media, arts interviews called Art Matters, and did some documentaries, audio documentaries about arts and creativity and that kind of thing. So I'm sort of a journalist, photojournalist at heart, but kind of self-taught, autodidact. I lived in Paris for 7 years. I perfectly fit the demographic of what all these women have said. Early 60s, in transition, empty nester. So I could certainly just focus on that. But maybe I'm too broad. My Gemini mind goes crazy, but I do want to be an information hub. I'm thinking about multiple streams of income. Hopefully, I know it's a challenge. I've been to podcast conferences, but I know it's also about building numbers. And as crass as it sounds, you interview a popular podcaster, you get their numbers, they get yours. So I understand some of the power in cross promoting, cross whatever. But I have a huge long list of interview topics, but I definitely would want to produce a number of them before I get going because I've been in this weekly production, and if you fall behind, it's very stressful. So I would love to have a whole package. Plus, I would be able to market it and position myself ahead of time. So I do have a ways to go. Right now, my ideas are pretty broad. I'd love to do fam trips and like report on them. And then I'm promoting the trips or retreats. There's some really cool retreats I'd love to either go on, possibly lead a retreat, co-lead a retreat. I could do them to Paris. I don't know. It's a lot of ideas, but I think there's a lot of armchair travelers that are nervous to get out there. And I'd love for them to be able to just listen to a weekly show and go, oh, who knew about sleep tourism? Who knew that you could buy a village in Italy for $1 and rebuild it? Like, when I look at Travel and Leisure magazine, reading the table of contents, it literally was all over the map. It's like new restaurant in Buenos Aires, and then what's happening with Airbnbs in Colorado, and then so I know it sounds a little wild and all-encompassing now, but I'd like to be almost more of a reporter hub of info, and not super in depth and not super. I mean, there's whatever. I can still get the point across. And I've done some journalism too and that kind of thing. So I kind of want to get back to what I've known before. I still would also like to get a certification as a travel advisor, and I haven't even really begun my travel certification. So I would like to include those services. So coaching could be involved, but I'd almost rather just be an information hub at this point. But still open, still new in this process.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're really passionate about the providing information and doing that through platforms like podcasts or writing. So I would consider maybe just becoming a media agency of some sort, and that could start with a podcast or start with your own online publication, and figure out, are you the one creating all of the content, or is it, there's so many different ways to structure that, but you can really build upon, you can really create a business out of a podcast if you have a vision for it. So, for example, I don't know if you guys listen to Travel Trends, Dan Christian's Travel Trends podcast. He travels a lot he has tons of sponsors now. He has a whole team that runs it, because they have the funding, and he travels to different shows that he partners with. So different trade shows, travel events, whatever it might be. He holds a couple interviews there, so creates content there. They're paid trips. So I don't know the whole, economics of what he's doing, but you can create a really great business. And essentially, he's just sharing different types of travel. I've recorded an episode with him as well. So he's just doing a bunch of different trends in the industry, tech industry, whatever it is. So if you can find your niche and figure out what it is that you actually want to talk about, and you can play it up with different topics. Not like you can't talk about fam trips or you can't talk about this. There's so many different things. But you have to at least have some sort of vision for what it is that you want to create. And you can turn that podcast and that business into a publication. Once you have content on one, you can have content on the other. So it sounds like that's what you're interested in doing, or you could be really good at doing, because you like that empowerment, trying to say information and informative at the same time, aspect of helping people when it comes to travel.
Yeah, I guess content creator. Yeah.
Yeah. Through like media outlets. Like there's companies that are media agencies. I'm on the advisory board of the Hotel Guide, and they view themselves not just as a online publication, they view themselves as a media agency now. And so it depends. You can start with one thing and then expand to something else. And then if you do end up getting your coaching certification or being a travel advisor, you now have a platform that you can easily integrate your offerings into, or then charge other people to put their offerings in there. So there's so many different ways to monetize that, but you got to figure out like what do you really want to do, and how can you put structure to that? Maybe El Camino is something that is obviously, hopefully, going to give you that clarity.
I hope so. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Perfect.
Looking forward to it.
All right. I'm going to keep moving on.
Can I just say one thing? A message to Kayla. Kayla, where are you located? She there?
Hey, yeah. I'm in Bariloche, Argentina.
Oh, I was going to give you a tip, but it's very local. I run an Airbnb in what's that?
Is it about traveling with pets?
Yes, I run an Airbnb in Wisconsin, and we accept pets.
Yeah, cool.
If you ever come.
I love Airbnbs that accept pets. Thanks.
That was a shameless plug. Okay, thank you.
All right, Pam says, ideal client is solo travelers who have been too frightened to take the plunge and are getting to the now or never age. Okay. Pain points are knowing what to expect and learning how to deal with issues that might arise. So really just a fear of like what could happen while traveling solo, all the things that have been holding them back. Can you sleep anywhere? Okay. Identify what activities they want to participate in and how to prepare for them. Booking, accommodation, transportation, other expected issues. So Pam, are you saying that you want to help people who want to go on solo trips, but limiting fears and beliefs are holding them back? And obviously
Basically,
there's a whole list of what
there's
those
a
fears.
whole lot of things that people are scared of, how much it's going to cost, how do I do this, and then there's the issues that happen that you never expected, like losing your wallet, and what do you do? And I got to the train station and now the next train's not there. And how to just sort of prepare yourself for those issues that are going to happen. I also am kind of like all over the board. I love teaching people how to do things. Sort of like even just how can you expect to take a bus in France if you can't take a bus in your local city? And so teaching people how to like sort of prepare themselves to be like, yeah, I can do this. It's really not that bad. And then if something does happen, how to not freak out and just be like, okay, that happened. That sucked. Let's figure it out. Because it does happen. And in my travels, I did it solo for 18 months, but I had friends come for 2 or 3 weeks at a time and did like us travel, and learning how different other people really like their travel. Like some people really just travel for food, and other people really just travel to see the travelers travel tourist traps, versus I like to go see graveyards and like oddball things, and so how to get to some of these things and what your expectation is. If you want to see a tourist trap, you got to book that in advance. You want to see a statue that's been there for 800 years in the middle of a field, you just have to figure out how to get there. And so sort of leading them in the right way of how they want to do. I had plenty of time, but if you only have 2 months, you only have 2 weeks, you better be able to figure that out. And so that's what I want to do. I want to teach people how to do it themselves.
Yeah. So a lot of thoughts and ideas are going through my mind as you're explaining that. First question is, are you looking to target people who also want to not only take a solo trip, but also like more of the oddball things to do and off the beaten path type of things? Or
I did, because I spent so long, I did both. And so I think that people think that they can't do the oddball stuff, and it is harder to do the oddball stuff. It's harder to get to them. You get there and it's closed, and like all kinds of things can go wrong when you do the oddball stuff. But I don't know that they realize that you can. It's like even traveling across my own country. I live in Canada. There's not a ton to do, but these roadside attractions will keep you interested all the way through. And it's like, okay, but you never thought of that. You just drove right through Canada. And so exploring that, yes, there's more than just the London Eye, right? Like, and so even within London, I was able to find different things that people don't normally go to. And it's like, those were the best parts of my vacation. But that doesn't mean but it was less expensive. Holy geez.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out, because I think it's real to be really specific is always a good thing. So that's why I'm thinking like I can see. So my ideas for you is I can see you creating one, and I think these already exist out there, obviously, I'm sure. But like a getting started on your first solo trip 101, or putting your fears to the side and taking that first solo trip. So it could be a on your own type of course. But what I'm trying to get at is like in the title, there's already solo trip courses out there. But if in parentheses, you can say for those who like the oddball experiences, or for those who like the hidden
off the
gems,
beaten track, or
yeah, but that's kind of used a lot too.
Yeah,
and I know hidden gems as well. But if you can say something like who, especially those who like hidden gem, or for those who like hidden gems, especially the weird ones or the oddball ones or something like that narrows down your demographic even more. And then starting with a mini course on its own, everyone always needs more guidance, and that's where your coaching is going to come into play. Is that then they can book not only just a session with you, because we need more than just 1 hour of someone's time to actually have a journey for anything in life, but having some sort of package. So if you know that if you're trying to target those who want to take a solo trip in the next 2 months, have a 6-week coaching package that they already took this mini course, or if they want to jump to that, they get the mini course included in there. So they learn this on their own. They come up with their ideas of what they want to do. But through that, you are their support system. You're coaching them and helping them figure out, because you can't just tell all of these different things that could possibly happen during a trip. There's no way to prepare someone for all of that and to help and guide them through all of that either. So what kind of tools can you teach people to use on their trip? So what kind of resources? So because these are the things that are putting their fears at mind. So if you're saying like their fear and all these limiting beliefs, these what ifs, the unknown is what is holding them back from taking this solo trip, but it's something they dream of and aspire and admire other people doing. Well, how can you now put those fears at ease? So what kind of support, what kind of resources, what kind of guidance can you provide them with throughout your coaching program to be able to help them have this transformation of having confidence, being able, being capable, being, we know how beneficial traveling solo can be on us as individuals. But they don't know that yet because they haven't experienced it yet. So paint that picture of what could be, and here's my journey of how I help you get there. Does that make sense?
It does. The thing that worries me about taking it to the weird and wonderful is that I'm weird and wonderful, but a lot of like my friends and everybody who watch me do it, they are like laughing at me and watching me do it and enjoying it. But I don't think that the majority of people would have gone to do some of the things that I did.
Yeah, that's fine.
I did live videos, and so I got a lot of feedback from it. And so I tried to do things that would interest men, and I'd go to the motorcycle dealership in Cyprus and do like that stuff. But then I would go to the doll factory, and so I tried to do a little bit of everything to see what really sparked other people as well on top of myself, because I didn't know what I would like until I did it. But
but that's too hard because everyone is so different.
So different. And so it's hard to say weird and wonderful when it's like, what's weird and wonderful to you?
Right. So that's why I say put it in parentheses, because the main thing about what you're teaching is how to be prepared to go on that solo trip and putting all your fears behind. Okay. Especially if you like things that are weird and wonderful. There's things like dark tourism out about, there's sleep tourism. The more specific you can get about who you serve, the more successful you're going to be in any business. So again, travel is very broad experience. There's so many experiences for everyone. They might like something, museums one time they travel and the next time we go on a trip they just want something else. You can't satisfy and try to predict all of that for people. So what are these general tools and resources that you can provide them with? But the reason I say that in parentheses is because there's already competition out there of travel coaches or travel experts who provide information for solo travelers. Like there's so much, it's saturated. How can you set yourself apart based off of your own passions, your own interests, and what you like to talk about? You'd be probably really surprised on the interest you get, because weird and wonderful might start meaning something different to your ideal clients. And therefore, you can tweak what it is that you help them with, or understand what that means to them. Okay. A hidden gem just off the beaten path might be weird and wonderful to someone, or going to a graveyard might be weird and wonderful to someone. You never know. But the more specific you can be in your business, the better it's going to be overall for you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Carrie says, intentional travel is a powerful tool for executive business owners and professionals who crave and feel they are ready for more adventure and meaning in business and life, but feel they can't get out of that. They can't get that out of business travel and feel they don't have as much time as they'd like for leisure travel. Intentional travel helps them get more business and personal growth and development by setting purposes and goals around their business and personal trips, and in so doing allow them to have those enriching and exciting experiences. Yes. Okay, so Carrie, you're essentially saying that you're serving executives and business owners and professionals who want more out of their trips. They travel a lot for business. Are they all business travelers as well?
No, not necessarily. I'm just kind of thinking that, at some point in my life, 15 years ago, whatever, I had run around and travel. I had lived in several different places. I had my kids. My kids were still little, and it was like time to travel. I always assumed I was going to travel, and now it's time to travel. And so I started really, focusing on that. And I'm thinking that the people that would be attracted to travel and listen, like when I give a presentation, that, people's kind of intentional travel, what is that? When I talk about that, that they have a craving to have more of that, but they just don't think about it because they're so busy, or they go on a business trip and it's a business trip, and they feel like, oh, well, a leisure trip is different than a business trip, when actually, the more you can mix them together, the more, even if you just have an evening, how can you make that into something personal, and also maybe learn and have growth and self-awareness from that. So they're kind of killing two birds with one stone by taking full advantage of their business and personal trips.
Yeah, so maybe then for you, really diving into the business travel industry in particular, and adding intentional travel to leisure trips. Leisure travel is already on the rise in the business travel industry, and there's a lot of buzz around it. There's a lot of companies thinking about how we can incorporate this for our employees, why it's important. But your perspective is that it's not only just a leisure trip, it's intentional travel and experiences that matters most, because then they can have the outcomes, the benefits of, possibly being more creative, being more productive, making more connections, having personal fulfillment, connecting more with their family that they're always away from. All of whatever benefits you see, I think would be a unique angle for you. Coming from that industry myself as the wellness travel coach there, I can see that being super interesting. And like you said, people's ears perk up when you say intentional travel. So really just targeting that industry itself, I think you could, do something.
Do you think that executives, business owners, and professionals is too general? I mean, should I choose two of those, or because
Well, they're pretty much the same thing. So so you're just saying pretty much professionals, whether they own a business or not. What I would do though, it's really hard if you guys are trying to focus on executives or busy professionals who who already have a lot on their plate, and they might travel already. So they're not thinking about more meaningful travel experiences or more intentional travel experiences. So my brain always says to go the easier route. So instead of going directly to the individuals, go to the companies who provided the programs, the travel programs, and say, you already talk about wellness, you talk about leisure, you talk about, improving your company culture. Intentional travel is something that you should consider, because it enhances all the things that you're looking for from your business travelers. I see that there's more success doing that way versus trying to target all these individual executives and business owners, because they probably don't see the value in enhancing their business trips when it comes to leisure or intentional travel, because it's such a newer concept to them.
Do you see offering these corporate people like a retreat, or like a course, or like a
That's up
coaching?
to you. That's up to you. How do you want to deliver your information? I got paid to speak on stages and travel that way. That was good enough for me. I had companies come to me and we worked on I created courses for a couple companies. I partner with them with their apps. So it depends. I don't think you have to have all the answers right away. For you, I think it's really important first to just get the information out there. So speaking, connecting, networking, that would be the best beginning for you.
Do you think, because I do have a solid foundation in mindset coaching, that I should really put that into this core message, like mindset trap,
Do you focus on, is that mindset coaching for executives and busy professionals?
yes. Yes. And so I see this as a strategy that helps you raise your mindset.
Yeah.
Is
Well, then why
another
don't you
strategy.
then reverse engineer that? Then put the travel into that, incorporate the travel into what it is you're already doing for your mindset work.
So mindset is a powerful tool for busy professionals. Intentional travel is an important technique that might help you achieve this?
That might, it should, it will. Yeah, so again, but I think you struggles. We've had a lot of calls before, Carrie. You need to figure out exactly who you're serving and what you're helping them with. So, is it business travelers? That's a different segment than professionals. Busy professionals is a different segment than executives. Even though I say that it's an overall umbrella because you're in the corporate space or you're in the business space. But do you want to serve any of them? Do you want to serve all one of them? So how you approach them is going to be different and what you offer is going to be different. So if you already do a lot in your mindset coaching for professionals or executives, just integrate travel into that. Introduce that idea. Give them that taste. Test the waters. See if they're interested more in it. Then you can expand and branch off and then offer something more intentional travel related that's specific to traveling and not mindset.
Do you think I need to have an age, like 40 plus or something like that, or 45
You don't
plus?
have to have, I don't,
Or need,
I can't tell you guys who you should serve in your business. You have to have clarity on who do you care about serving, whether it comes from your heart or it comes from your research. So you have to figure that out. Have you seen that, you tend to work with a certain type of age group, executives or professionals? Do you get responses from a certain type of age group? Do you see that have more pain points in another type of age group? So this is all things to help you figure out what kind of age group you need to have. Just to have your core message written means nothing if you're not actually clear on who it is you serve and what you're doing. So I think for you, it's going back to the drawing board and seeing, do I want to just integrate travel into what I already do as a mindset coach? Or do I want to actually target the business travel industry and incorporate intentional travel and introduce that idea to their whole bleisure concept? So you have to figure out what path it is that you want to do.
okay.
That makes sense? You're
Yes.
welcome. Mirka asked about the Spanish certification. Yes, we just launched the travel coach certification program in Spanish. It's the same program, but just translated. And Sonia runs that one. We have others to come, other languages. Yeah. I'll see you guys just chatting. Okay. Oh, and then Mirka, you asked for the dates. I'm gonna send it out in an email and a post. I don't have it off the top of my head when the El Camino trip is. It's May something. Mara, or if you're on, do you remember what they are?
May 18th through the 24th.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sunday through Saturday.
Laura says, I want to share about my daily life as an expat in Mexico, share my detailed itineraries of travel off the beaten path in Mexico, and help others plan their own adventurous itineraries. I'm struggling with how to bring all this together and knowing okay. So Laura, are you looking to only serve others who want to become expats in Mexico, or expats in general, or anyone who wants to travel to Mexico, or who exactly is it? Who do you feel like you want to serve?
I think, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm mostly interested in the travel and the itineraries aspect of it. I think my mind keeps going to, so if I start like an Instagram, like how would I get people interested in me and my story? So I'm like, oh, I would share about like my daily life in Mexico, but then it's like, well, that's not related to like really the problem I want to solve for people.
What's the problem you want to solve?
I think it's more the like I've had this, I want to create a class for people, kind of taking them through the steps to travel, like creating their own itinerary. And then also possibly have a blog or like sell the itineraries I've already created for myself, because I go out on a lot of like weekend adventures in Mexico to places that a lot of like tourists don't go to. And I'm already creating these really detailed itineraries. So I was like, well, I could post those with affiliate links, or I could sell those. And then also have a class where people can plan their own itinerary. So, but yeah, it's kind of like a lot of different ideas, and I'm struggling with
Yeah,
like who would find me.
I don't think it's that many different ideas. So for me, what I hear is, and this is just my opinion and an option, could be creating a business where you're known for creating very specific off the beaten path itineraries for Mexico in particular. Going onto your socials and creating that as your brand. So you'll share one particular piece of that itinerary. So today I look at this picture that I took at the cenote, and share the story. You know, what was the adventure to get there? What was the experience like? Whatever it might be. Build your brand around that and share your stories around that. People follow and engage on social media, no matter what platform, because they are that specific content speaks to them in some way, makes them feel something in some way. So if you're all over the board and talking about any itinerary, or, you know, because Mexico is what you are creating those itineraries for, because it's your own experience, I'd say start with there. There are a lot of companies that do create and sell itineraries already, but you could expand upon that, build your brand put them into your blog, create affiliate links, like you said, with that, maybe even create a podcast as not necessarily for a revenue stream right away, but as a way to attract your audience and nurture your audience and provide more value, and then have somewhere to lead them to. So maybe it's a Facebook group. So maybe there's a Facebook group you create for, you know, the best off the beaten paths in Mexico, you know, created by, in parentheses, created by an expat. So something like that, where that becomes your brand, starting with somewhere very, very specific and growing that, you can now have the option to expand elsewhere. So let's say you move to another country next year or 5 years from now, whatever, and you now create those hyper specific itineraries for that destination. So you can create a business that creates these very specific itineraries that you feel like no other people know about or create or offer, and then scale it that way. So there's different ideas that you can do, but I think for you, just to keep it simple right now, is just start with what you do and what you know. Start sharing that. People will reach out to you. You guys have to listen. I'm not talking just to you anymore, Laura. In business, we feel like we need to have all the answers right away, right? We need to know how we're going to show up. What are we going to talk about? How are we going to nurture our audience? Who am I going to serve? How am I going to serve them every time? What am I offering them? What am I pricing at? Like, we don't have those answers in business right away. I started my business 8 years ago, like 6 years ago, something like that. We're always growing and learning and evolving and trying new things and, you know, putting ourselves out there. So that stuff's going to evolve. So listen to your audience. They will tell you what they want, and that could be, a revenue stream. That's where I should offer them. We don't have to create these offers and create these revenue streams right away. Just start with sharing our story, share our knowledge, share our expertise. People will start messaging and say, hey, can you like talk about, you know, put little nuggets of teases in there. Like, that's why I'm creating a resource hub of these itineraries. And then move on to something else to say. People are gonna be like, how can I have one of those itineraries? You know what? I'm actually putting together, you know, a little ebook full of them. Would you like to join a wait list? Sure. Put their freaking name on a spreadsheet or write it down on a piece of paper. So when you are ready to sell anything, you have a warm lead already. So just listen to your audience and give your guys self grace. And that's why in yesterday's session, I talked about the importance of just sharing your story. And that's something that we often overlook. So we see all these other posts on social media. We see what everyone else is doing. We see success of everyone else. We see how they're posting and the creativity or whatever it might be. And it gets in our head and we think our story is not good enough, or people aren't going to want to hear this, or this isn't going to relate to anyone. But knowing some sort of idea of who do you want to serve, and then sharing any experiences, parts of your stories that they could possibly relate to, or want, or desire, or need, or would find value in, and start from there. Okay. I think that's I think that's a really cool idea to be very specific for in Mexico. And you can also connect with other expats in Mexico. I'm sure they would probably want to work with you and figure out how can they find these have these experiences like you have had. So there's different ways that you could expand that business.
Yeah, I think I just didn't know if it was too specific because yeah, eventually I do want to live in other countries. So I was like, does it make sense to focus on just
Create your
Mexico?
brand have your brand be the one that creates very specific personal itineraries or whatever it might be. Maybe there's a theme to what they are. You know, there's bloggers out there that have really successful blogs because they are very specific. I know someone, got her name, but I've known her for a couple of years on socials, who runs a blog on Mexico, and she does really, really great. She makes a lot of money. So for her, I'm sure she would have thought like, well, no one's going to only want to learn about Mexico. How much can I talk about? What if I travel somewhere else? Sure, she does provide that information somewhere, but her whole brand is based around her sharing her information about Mexico.
Okay.
And go from there. You'll learn, you'll evolve over time.
Yeah. And sorry, one more question. You mentioned a podcast. I've thought about that, but I'm struggling with like what would I talk about on the podcast versus like a blog or
They can be the same.
okay.
Content is content. Don't reinvent the wheel, repurpose your content. So if you have if you have a blog, read it and talk about it on your podcast. If you have a podcast episode, create clips out of it, create reels on your Instagram for that. You take a picture from that experience and take the copy that segment of your blog and put that into a Facebook post. So, you know, create it onto Pinterest. Repurpose your content across your podcast, your blog, your social media, whatever it might be. Makes things so much easier. It makes things concise and consistent.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Any final questions? No? All right. I did not look up what we're talking about tomorrow, but I'm going to send it out in an email along with this replay for day 3. I wish I remember what it was, but same time tomorrow, day 3, and come with questions, come, you know, with, even if it's something that later on you worked on your core message, bring it tomorrow and we can chat about that as well too. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me for day 2 of the Travel Coach Workshop. Looking forward to see you guys for day 3, and then keep an eye out for the email. The link is the same as well, but I'll send out. Thank you, Deborah. I'm going to hire you as an assistant. Answered all my questions down in there. Yes, you're creating your travel coach framework. Super, super important. It's a way kind of to put structure and organization to all of these ideas that you guys have, all these interests, these passions, these ideas for your travel business. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.